Hey guys, and welcome back for something different today. Now I want you to imagine what it would feel like if you can effortlessly play any modern worship song or progression in any key, anywhere on the guitar neck. Well, in this Fretboard Freedom Masterclass, I'm going to reveal a proven system that will transform your fretboard knowledge and also how you go about using the fretboard so that you can improve your confidence to improvise, to come up with guitar parts, and to seamlessly transition between chord voicings anywhere on the guitar neck, in any key, like I've just mentioned, playing any progression. So whether you're a beginner or even if you've been playing for years, this video will definitely revolutionize your approach to learning the fretboard so that you can play modern worship guitar with confidence. So I want you to get ready to unlock your full potential on the guitar and take your playing to the next level, because we're about to dive in and start your journey to complete fretboard mastery. So that's what we're going to be doing. And before we get going, it's just important for me to lay a couple of foundational elements here. First of all, we are talking about worship guitar. So what does that mean? Well, if you are playing guitar in church for the purpose of congregational worship, coming together on Sundays to worship the Lord and play worship guitar. So that's the focus. The focus is on God, ministering to the Lord, expressing our worship team, doing what Psalm 33 verse 3 tells us, to play skillfully an instrument. The word tells us that everything that has breath, praise the Lord, to make a joyful noise. All of those foundational, theologically sound principles as it relates to worship. Secondly, we are going to be looking at modern worship guitar, because for the most part, that's what most guitar players play in their churches. It's more modern worship styles, and that would include things like Bethel, elevation worship, Hillsong, whatever the case may be. Those kind of songs in those kind of styles where the electric guitar plays a fairly prominent role with specific tones, specific techniques, and specific things. So that's our focus. Yes, there are other sub-genres of worship, but we are going to be covering modern worship today, and we're going to be looking at the fretboard specifically so that you can not get stuck in just kind of playing cowboy chords, but knowing how to unlock everything that is on offer on the fretboard here. So what I'm going to do is let's quickly go over to the iPad over here, and then let's look at like when we are playing worship on a Sunday or any other day, right? The vehicle that we use, the word tells us to sing unto the Lord a new song. So we are performing and playing songs on a Sunday. That's what the congregation sings, and the lyrics should be theologically sound and really minister to the Lord and bring people together for the purpose of worship. Now, in order for you to play the songs, there's a couple of things that you need to determine beforehand. First of all, is you need to know what to play. That is where it's going to start. So it's going to start, number one, with obviously the song. What song are you going to be playing? And when you are playing a song, it's going to be in a specific key, and it's also going to have either one or a number of specific progressions. That is, first of all, the thing that you need to decide there. So it's your key and your progressions. Secondly, once you know what key the song is in and what progressions you're going to play, you're going to have to decide on what chord voicings are you going to use on the guitar. And we also can refer to those as chord shapes, because if you have to play a C, there's many different ways for you to play a C. So that basically means if we are going to be playing a song in the key of C that's a 1, 4, 6, 5, well then basically that's going to be as follows. So 1 is going to be C, 4 is F, 6 is A minor, and 5 is G. That's the key of C, and it's a progression. It's a 1, 4, 6, 5, and in that case I used open chords. But I can also use dyads, for example, 1, 4, 6, 5. Actually, that was 1, 4, 6, 5. So that's going to determine the voicings that you have to play on the guitar. Now, next up is, once you know what key you're in, what progressions you're going to play, and what chord voicings or chord types you're going to use, it's all going to be about, well, where are you going to play these things on the guitar? Because there's literally, I don't even know what the number is, but it seems like countless options in terms of where you can play songs and voicings and whatever the case will be. So in our case, we're going to be able to play that on a low area. the middle area, and the higher area on the guitar neck. That's how I like to break it up. And then you can also go ahead and play the low area an octave higher. Okay, so what does all of that mean? Well, that basically just means, I just want to grab another pick over here. My pick just fell on the floor there. We're recording this live in one take for you as a masterclass. So let's go ahead and check this out. If I play in the low area, I can play 1, 4, 6, 5. In the middle area, 1, 4, 6, 5. In the higher area, 1, 4, 6, 5. And then I can play the low area an octave higher. And that is the area that I'm going to be playing the progression. Don't worry, we're going to get some time to go into the details of all these different things. But now we know what we are playing, and we also know where we are playing it. Well, the next thing is, it's not just what you play, it's also how you play it. You probably have heard that saying before. It's not what you say, it's how you say it. And when it comes to this, there's many different things involved. What techniques are you going to use? Whether it's picking or strumming, are you going to be playing rhythm? Are you going to be playing lead? And then when it comes to the level of your performance, so to speak, are you going to have a simple approach, which we're going to be covering today, or you're going to be doing a more advanced approach based on your skills? That's going to be kind of skill level dependent. And then finally, the last thing is going to be about why. It's the whole question of why does this work? This is just so that you can have an understanding of when you do certain things, why it works the way it does. So this, in essence, is the 4 variables that you need to understand when it comes to playing songs. What are you going to play as it relates to the key and the progression of the song? What voicings you're going to be using? Where are you going to be playing this on the neck? Are you going to play in the low area, the middle area, the higher area, or even an octave higher from where you can do it low? How are you going to play it? What techniques are you going to use? You're going to play rhythm or lead. You're going to do a simple version, advanced version, and understanding why all of this works. That is the main focus for today's masterclass, so that you can see how all of these things work together. So let's go ahead and check this out. If I look at this PDF right now, you can see next to my guitar that there's a PDF with a bunch of chord shapes. All right, and what that's all about is just looking at, you can see the top fretboard that says C. I can play C or C or C or C. I can also do F or F, F or F. I can do A minor, and then I can do G. Those are the shapes that I'm able to use as it relates to the chord shapes. These are what's known as dyads, and it's literally just 3 types of shapes. It's either this shape, or this shape. We've got many videos around the 4/2 dyads on our channel, so if you want to kind of get a refresher of that, that is where you'll go ahead and check this out as it relates to the different shapes. Those are the shapes that I've just shown you on the guitar a moment ago, but you can see if I play C, F, A minor or G, that's in the low area. If I go to the next one, C, F, A minor or G, that's the middle area. Or I can do C, F, A minor, G, it's in what would be the higher area, and then the low area, an octave higher, C, F, A minor, G. And those are the voicings that we are able to play over there. Now, I'm going to go ahead and just show you how this can work. Right there, you can see the 4 different voicings where we are going to be starting. C, F, A minor, G. So you can see as it relates to, earlier we discussed the what. Well, in this case, it's a 1-4-6-5 progression. That's what we've just uncovered there. It's a 1-4-6-5 progression. It's in the key of C, and I'm using 4/2 dyad shapes. And in this instance, it's being played on the low area. So can you see how those decisions so far will allow me to play a song in the key of C? So going back to this, we can now see the following. I'm going to play a track for us, and then I'll jam with the track where you can see I'm going to play C, F, A minor, and G. It sounds like this. Alright, so that is 1-4-6-5 in this area of the guitar neck. Those shapes, like I said, they are just the 4-2 shapes, and we've got many videos on the channel that covers the shapes, and you can go ahead and check those out. But I can also play that exact same progression a little bit higher up the neck. Now we can see I can play C over here, F, and then A minor, and then G. And I can also do it up here. C, F, A minor, G. And we'll get to the techniques that I'm using. You can see I'm using hybrid picking together with some embellishments for this example. But what I want to show you now is simply just using these 3 2-note chord shapes played at specific places on the guitar neck. I'll be able to play this 1-4-6-5 progression in 3 different areas. So I'm going to do it one more time, and I'll show you then the approach that you'll need to follow as it relates to actually doing this on the fretboard so that you can go ahead and improve your playing. So check this out. 1-4-6-5. Moving up. Moving up again. Back down. Strumming. Alright, so I just showed you a couple of different approaches as it relates to what you can play there. Specifically, looking at the different areas on the guitar. We played in 3 different areas. We played it in the key of C, and we played the 1-4-6-5 progression. And then that was, what did I play? Key of C, 1-4-6-5 progression. Where did I play it? I showed it to you in 3 different areas. How did I play it? Well, sometimes I picked it. Other times I strummed it. And then in addition to the how I played it, sometimes I played it super simple, where I just played C, F, A minor, G. Or I can add in more embellishments. C, F, A minor, G. With a few more slides and embellishments to make it sound a little bit more fun. And then I also strummed it. So that is the first thing that you need to look into. What are you going to play? The key, the progression, where are you going to play it? Choose the area on the neck, and then how are you going to play it? Are you going to strum it? Are you going to pick it? Are you going to play it in a simple way? Are you going to play it in a little bit more advanced way? And then also you need to understand why these things work, which we are going to be getting to in just a second. But in essence, that kind of takes care of looking at a simple approach to learning songs. So we just go back to this again. You can take a screenshot of this, and by the way, we have a full masterclass that dives into everything that you need to do to put into your practice session as it relates to the backing tracks and to the different keys and all these kind of awesome things. If you want to go ahead and check out any of those things, you're welcome to do so. But when you're going to play a song, know what key it is in, because not all songs are in the key of C. Sometimes it's in the key of D flat. Then you need to be able to do that. We're going to cover that shortly. you need to be able to play different progressions, and you need to know what voicings you're going to be doing. Now, for this masterclass, we are simply just focusing on those 4/2 voicings that we cover so often on the channel over here. And once you are comfortable with what you've just played there, the progression 1-4-6-5 in this instance, in the key of C, in a couple of different areas on the neck, the next step then for you to do is, okay, great. Instead of playing 1-4-6-5, well, let me do 4-1-5-6. It's a different progression. It's still in the key of C, but I changed the progression. 4, 1, 5, 6. Well, I can do it in the middle area. Then 4, 1, 5, 6. And I can do it one higher, which will be there. 4, 1, 5, 6. So can you see how that leads to a whole set of different decisions that you need to be making as it relates to what is possible for you to do with regards to this? So I just changed the progression. This is how you master the fretboard. First of all, you just look at what are all these variables, and now that you've gotten it down, you've gotten some voicings that we've just covered, you're able to play them in one key, and we did one progression, 1-4-6-5, and we play that in the low, the middle, and the higher areas on the guitar neck. Once you're comfortable with that, well, you need to move to another progression or another key. In this case, we're going to do a different progression. So we're going to do that 4-1-5-6 progression. You saw that we started with 1-4-6-5, which is C, F, A minor, G, and now we're going to go to a 4-1-5-6, which is F, C, G, A minor. I'll go ahead and pull up the chart for you so you can see me play along this track as we go ahead and play the 4-1-5-6 in the key of C. There we go. So that was a 4-1-5-6 progression in 3 different positions. So it's exactly the same shapes that we looked at before. I didn't introduce a new shape. This is the issue that so many people run into, is they change too many things too often, and they try and learn this song and then that song and then this song and then that song, and it's kind of jumping around from thing to thing to thing. But really what they should be doing is understand what are the things that are constant throughout all these songs. Well, it is the following: the progressions. Learn your progressions. Get really good at using one type of voicing. I would definitely recommend starting with these 4/2 dyads, and then start playing different progressions in different positions on the neck and different keys. It just depends on how you want to grow. So now, so far, we've looked at 1-4-6-5 in the key of C. We looked at a 4-1-5-6 in the key of C. So the next thing that you can do is you can then go ahead and say, okay, great. Well, let's do another progression. I want to get good at playing different progressions. Here we have a 6-4-1-5 in the key of C. It's the same chords in a different order. 6, 4, 1, 5. And I can do it higher up here as well. 6, 4, 1, 5. And I can do it up here as well, which will be 6, 4, 1, 5. So it's the same voicings, it's the same key, but it's a different progression. Let's check this out. And that is how you do it. You can then just learn the different progressions. And so far, we've looked at 3 different progressions: 1-4-6-5, 4-1-5-6, and a 6-4-1-5, all in the key of C, using the same voicings, those 4-2 dyads, in the same 3 different areas on the guitar. Now, as you know, you're not going to play all songs in the key of C, but it's a good idea to start with one key, get comfortable with that, and then gradually you can go ahead and learn more shapes, as it were. Learn more progressions, learn more positions, learn more voicings, but only change one thing at a time. Because if you change multiple things at a time, which is using different chord voicings, different keys, different progressions, different positions on the guitar with different techniques, and it's so many variables that for most worship guitarists who are not professional guitar players, meaning they've got a job, a family, other commitments, it's just way too much stuff for the brain to process, and therefore they feel like they're stuck in this never-ending loop, and that's why you want to have a systematic approach to work through this. Now, we've still got some time to go in this masterclass, so I can show you a couple of other things, but if you want a systematic approach and a way for me to guide you through this and to actually give you a practice plan and the program that you can follow to just sit down and work on these things, well, just check the link in the description. We've got a more detailed workshop in and around this, specifically as it relates to what to practice. But let's keep things going. We want to go ahead and make some additional changes. So now that we've practiced in the key of C, we've done the different progressions. Let's say, okay, great, let's go ahead and now change the whole key. So I don't want to play in C anymore. I want to now play in the key of G major. So now we go back to that progression: 1, 4, 6, 5. And I can play that with a track, and I can also go ahead and play 1, 4, 6, 5 over there. And then I can also do 1, 4, 6, 5. So you can see there's 3 different places where I can play this on the guitar. Just going back to what we discussed before, this is the variable of where do you play this, right? And what we've just done there now is we've looked at the low, middle, and high, but you can also play the low area 12 frets higher. But in any case, that takes care of the what. Sorry, the where. So we can see the what is the key in the progression. We've now moved to the key of G. The progression is 1, 4, 6, 5. The voicings are still those 4-2 voicings, and we're going to play it low, middle, and high. And this is how you can systematically go ahead and work on more things. So let's go ahead and now play the 6-4-1-5 progression. Actually, not the 6-4-1-5, the 1-4-6-5 in the key of G. Here we go. Again. Move up a position. And once more, up, another position. Maybe I'll strum it. And that is a 1-4-6-5 in the key of G. Once you're comfortable with that, let's check out, you can move on to another progression in the same key. So I'll play that for you now. Check this out. 4-1-5-6 in the key of G. Move up the neck. And up once more. And that is how you would go ahead and just practice all of these different notes together so that you can get comfortable with learning different keys, different progressions, different positions on the guitar neck. And in this case, we use the same voicing. But you can also now go ahead and change the voicing. Instead of playing, for example, 4-1-5-6, you can then turn the dyads into triads. So then you can go 4-1-5-6, 4-1-5-6, or you can go 4-1-5-6. So you can do so many different things. Instead of playing triads or dyads, I can do power chords. 4-1-5-6, 4-1-5-6, 4-1-5-6. I mean, there's so many different approaches that you can use. In that case, the key stayed the same, the progression stayed the same, but I changed my shape that I use. So instead of playing dyads, I played triads or power chords or any of these kind of things. That is how you can go ahead and then just go ahead and improve your playing as it relates to your knowledge of the fretboard. Because when you're going to be playing songs, it's going to be the same usual suspects as it relates to the progressions. 1-4-6-5, 6-4-1-5, 4-1-5-6. There's so many worship songs that share the same progressions. We all know that. And for those folks out there who say that, hey, worship music is so boring, it's always the same 4 chords. Well, blues is the same 3 chords. And it's not, you can do so much creativity within those constraints, right? Within those same 3 chords when you play the traditional blues. If you listen to Stevie Ray Vaughan versus B.B. King versus whoever your favorite blues guitarist is, they all play it totally different, but it's the same 3 chords. So it's not the chords that is the problem in the music. It's our creativity. Number 1, we can be super creative within that. And number 2, going right back to what we said in the beginning of this masterclass, it's about what's the focus for what we are doing. What it's corporate worship, it's to bring praise and worship to our Lord and Savior, to show gratitude, to sing songs, to come in alignment with what the word says. So it's not a time to play Phrygian, dominant, sweep, picked arpeggios all up and down the neck, because that is not the purpose for the job. In the same way that if you are being hired to play a blues gig and then you rock up with a jazz guitar rig and you play all super technical jazz, the audience or or the band that hired you, they're not going to like it because it's a blues gig. So you got to go and play blues. And if you are serving on a worship team, your heart needs to be in the right place. You are there to go and serve a role and a function with your gifts and abilities that you've been blessed with so that you can play for Sunday and you want to serve the songs. Different churches have different ways in which they lead things, but that is very important for us. The Bible says, guard your heart, for out of it flows the issues of life. So we need to understand what the role and function is for that particular thing. So this is what we've been talking about around modern worship and how you can be creative within, whether it's the same 4 chords all the time, but how can you sing unto the Lord a new song? How can you play skillfully on your instrument? How can you make a joyful noise? How can you get the congregation and give them an opportunity to go ahead and really engage in worship? Because the Bible says that mountains melt like wax in the presence of the Lord. The Bible says in His presence there's times of refreshing. The Bible talks about all these amazing things that happen when we come together and corporately worship the Lord, where 2 or 3 gather in my name, there I am. One can put 1,000 to flight, but 2 can put 10,000 to flight. There's a lot of powerful things together that happens when we come together and place our focus on God and worship Him and show just total gratitude for what He has done for us and who He is, and just coming in alignment with the Word. So that is what we are doing, is we are bringing our gift, our availability to the Lord so that we can go ahead and just come in alignment with the Word and be a servant in that regard as it relates to serving the congregation, so that they can have this wonderful opportunity. If you happen to live in a country where you have religious freedom, you can come together on a Sunday corporately in a public places. That is not something that we need to take for granted. So I'm kind of preaching a little bit here, and I want to just remind us as guitar players to not, sometimes we can be judgmental and critical and opinionated. It's kind of, it happens often with guitar players. And I want to encourage you and invite you to not get caught up into all those discussions in, like, Worship Guitarists, just a rip-off of U2, and there's no creativity, and there's this, that, and the next thing. It's, if you're going to be focusing on all these negative approaches, it's going to rob you of the beautiful things that can happen when you can come in alignment and bring a holy sacrifice that is pleasing unto the Lord, and having a servant's heart and having your heart in the right place. That's what it's about. It's not about us wailing on the guitar and showing how good we are. It's about understanding the role and the function there. All right, so you get that sermon for free. Let's carry on with a couple additional things that I just want to mention to you as it relates to learning the fretboard. So I'm going to go back to our chart over here, and what you can see over here is these are the shapes in the key of G. Again, if you want to dive deeper into this, feel free to check the link in the description. But this right here is G, C, E minor, and then D. I want to show you 2 super cool things. Number 1, I'm going to play a progression. I'll do a 4-1-5-6 in the key of G. In fact, let me do what's written there. It's 1-4-6-5. So I'll do 1-4-6-5 in the key of G. Previously, I played all in one area. I either played low, middle, or high. But once you get this, then you can transcend these shapes and you can combine things together, which is what I'm about to do now. The first time I'm going to keep it nice and simple. The second time I'm going to start combining shapes together. So that's the first takeaway that you can get, is you don't have to stay in one shape. There's a saying that says, we're not trees. If we don't like where we're at, we can get up and leave. Or, in the same way as your guitar playing, you're not a tree in that regard. You don't have to stay in one position. You can move around. That's the first thing. Then the second thing is going to really deepen your understanding of the fretboard, and we'll get to that in a second. So you can see this kind of gives you the bedrock of the progression, and then you can start making different combinations, whatever you want to do. Sometimes you can play single notes, you can combine shapes together. But the problem is many guitarists, they want to get to this level before they put in their reps and just get comfortable with the shapes. Going back to the iPad, what we said there before, now we know, okay, great, what key are we playing this in? In that case, it was G. What's the progression? In that case, it was 1, 4, 6, 5. I used 4/2 voicings, and I didn't just play in one area. I played all over. I played rhythm. I played lead. I had simple approaches. I had advanced approaches, and I had a variety of different techniques that I used over there. So can you see with a systematic approach like this what becomes possible when you play these things? Now, we didn't really cover too much of the why so far, and that is what I want to go over and just show you. And this is something that not many guitar players understand this. Right now, when you look at this, you are just seeing shapes. So I'm just going to go ahead and go to a new page on iPad. So let's just look at this. When you look at that, all you see is shapes. There's actually 3 levels, right? And just check this out. So level 1 is, let's go to the color there. Level 1 is shapes. This is what you are seeing over here. Literally just shapes. Level 2 is when you don't just see shapes, but you actually see the note names. Right? And what does that mean? Well, look at this. Now we can actually see the note name. So that first voicing is not just a shape like we had over here. Now you can actually see this is a G note. That's a D note. This is a B note. That's a G note. This is a D note. That's a G note. And for the C, you can see this is G and E, or C and G, or E and C. Then you actually see what we call the note names. Very important. Now, the next level, and this is really the level where you want to be, is you want to see intervals. Now, what do I mean by that? Interval simply means instead of seeing G and D, I can see that this is a root and a 5, or a third and a fifth, or a fifth and a third. That's very important because look at this. If I play this G note over here, it's the red note in the first chord in the top fretboard. That note is G. That same note is black, the black G for the C chord. It's the same note. It's G over here for a G chord, or it's G over there for a C chord. It remains G over there for the E minor chord as well. But you don't get to see anything else other than the note name because it stays a G, a G, a G. But look at this. When I look at my intervals, then the G is a root note over a G chord. That same G is a fifth over the C. That same G is a flat third over the E minor. And then just from the flat third I can go, from the G I go to the F sharp, which becomes a major third for the D. Now what happens is when you play a root note, it sounds very strong and solid over any chord. But when I have the fifths, it's a slightly different sound. Listen to the G sounds like this over the G. That same G note that is a root note in G becomes a fifth over a C. So it's a different sound. And then that same G note is a minor third over the E minor, and it can be a 4 that can go to the 3 over a D. That means different intervals have different feelings and emotions. So a G is a G. Over a G chord, it's the root. Over a C chord, it's the fifth. Over an E minor chord, it's the flat third. Over a D chord, it's a sus4. And then it goes to that F sharp. So my point here is that the feeling, the emotion, think about this. When you watch a movie, it's the music the majority of the time that tells you how to feel about a scene. So that means that the music contains with it information that it's communicating. It conveys an emotion. When you see intervals, then you can see, oh wow, this is a root note, this is a fifth, this is a flat third, it's a sus4 to a third. Then you can start to see what these emotions are that you can convey within your playing. And that's what I want to encourage you to do, is don't just learn the shapes. That's a place to start, but then learn your note names, very importantly, because if you need to move a G to an A flat, you need to know where the root note is in the shape and how to find A flat, for example. That's where the note names come in, so you can play in any of the other keys. But at some point, you need to develop an awareness of the intervals so that you can understand what is the emotional substance of the notes that you are playing. And when you can distinguish between the intervals, then as you can imagine, if I just see the shapes, I don't know what the note names are, I don't know what the intervals are, I just see the shapes. A level higher, I can see the note names, but the note names don't tell the full story, because whether I play a G over a G chord or a G over a C or a G over E minor, it's still just G. When I add in the interval, now all of a sudden it unlocks for me what the different feelings and emotions are of that E minor chord when I play a G, or a C chord and I play a G. The same note now carries different meanings and different messaging depending on the context I'm playing it over. Right, so that's very important for you to kind of just go ahead, and when you learn these things, don't just learn the shapes. It doesn't give you all of the information. Learn the note name, so that means you can easily move it to other keys, and then learn the intervals, which will help you to easily communicate different ideas on the guitar as it relates to what you want to communicate. What is the emotion that you want to unlock? If you go and look at the Psalms, God said that David was a man after his own heart, and David was somebody who knew, he conveyed emotions, right? Some songs are jubilant, some songs are sad, some songs are psalms. They all have different feelings and emotions as it relates to that. So it's important for us as guitar players to be able to convey different emotions to support the song and serve the song that we are playing in different moments. Now, in order for us to wrap up today's masterclass, I just want to give you what I call the VAMP method as it relates to drills. So if you look at any of the examples that we looked at before, if I play, for example, the 4, 1, 5, 6 with those chord shapes, or with these, or with those, whatever the case may be, I played them before with the track, so you need to be able to do them over and over as a drill so that you can become comfortable with that. So here's a great way for you to practice these things. Number one is the visual side of things. This is where you are able to see the shapes that you are playing, right? So we looked at that before, where you can see the shapes. You literally can see, okay, great, it's just 3 2-note shapes. I can play that all over the guitar. Then the next part here is hearing. All right, that's oral. It stands for oral. I'll do it like that, oral, okay? And the V is for visual. Oral is where you can actually hear what's going on. So either that's going to be the progression, okay? I'll play this for you now, the progression, or you can actually hear the intervals. So like I said before, let's take this as an example. If I play an F sharp over a D, that's my third. If I play that same F sharp over a G, it becomes a major 7th. If I play that same F sharp over a C, it becomes a sharp 11. All right, and that is just the nature of the intervals. That's what I said before. If I play a G note over a G, it's a root note. A G note over a C is the 5th. A G note over a third over an E minor is a minor 3rd, and it's a sus4. Now you can start to hear the intervals and the emotional quality contained within a note. Or if I play 1, 4, 6, 5, it has a different sound to say 4, 1, 5, 6. Being able to hear the different progressions is very important. The more you play this, the more you can hear what these progressions do. And then the M component here stands for mental, and that just means understanding what you are playing. So you actually know why things work the way they do. That's why I've just shown you the intervals, so that you can actually understand, oh wow, that's why that is a G chord, because it's the root and a fifth. Or that's why that's an inversion, or that's why that note sounds like that over that chord. It's just understanding a little bit of the theory, so you don't just blindly play anything. And then finally is P, which stands for physical. This is where you want to work on your muscle memory, so that if I play any of these progressions or any of the different things that I've been showing you, then I'm able to go ahead and do that without thinking. That's my muscle memory. It's my fingers are just focused on doing the changes, playing the progressions, playing the lines, playing the licks, whatever the case will be. And then while this is happening, it's muscle memory. It just happens on autopilot because you've done it enough times, and you get through to all of this to develop that, especially muscle memory, is through the art of repetition. And that is the only way that you are going to be able to get this in place. So the more you repeat these things over and over, the more you are able to go ahead and improve. So hopefully you've gotten a ton out of today's Fretboard Freedom Masterclass, and that you can see just by learning these three, we had 3 2-note chord voicings. We could play any key, any progression, any position on the guitar neck. We can have different techniques. We can play different songs. We can play rhythm. We can play lead. We understand why things work the way they do, because we don't just see a shape. We don't just see the notes. We actually understand the intervals and how chords are made up of. And just kind of giving you a systematic approach. Once you are happy with the one version, then you can add in you can change your progression, or you can change the key, or you can change the position on the guitar neck, or you can change the voicing. You change one of those things at a time, and then that is the way that you can go ahead and practice this. So for next steps, as we wrap today, for next step, you want to go and practice what I showed you today. But number one is you want to learn more progressions, because that's the thing. The more progressions you know and you can play and you can hear, the easier it's going to be for you to play different songs. You want to go and learn more voicings, like I showed you before. Instead of just looking at the 4/2 dyads, you want to learn power chords, you want to learn triads, you want to learn sus chords, whatever the case may be. You want to learn more keys, so that if I say 1, 4, 6, 5 in the key of D flat, or E flat, or G, or F, or A, or B, doesn't matter, you are comfortable by playing in any key. You want to learn specific rhythms, because there's different ways in which you can play different rhythms. You also want to go ahead and work on different techniques. I've kind of demoed some of them today. For example, we did a hybrid picking, where I use my pick and my fingers. We also looked at some embellishments, where I did a few interesting things along the way, and then also looking at working on things like string muting, and then also learning how to play lead guitar using these same notes all together. Now, that's obviously a lot of things to do and different ways in which you can go ahead and approach that. And once you have it down, then you can start doing some fun stuff, which is, for example, if you play the 4/2 voicings. So that's Agnes Day. Or maybe you do Gotta Look to You. or maybe do The Victory Is Yours. Right, so that's a progression D, actually F sharp minor, F sharp minor D, A, E. So it's 6, 4, 1, 5. In fact, we've looked at that progression before, 6, 4, 1, 5, just in a different key. So we did it in this case, the 6 was here, so 6, 4, 1, 5. You can just go ahead and play these different things all over the guitar neck, playing the melodies. I'm using hybrid picking. You can also do play lead guitar using these same lines, whatever the case may be, the same voicings. There's many different things for you to do in different keys, different positions on the guitar. And in order for you to do this, follow the program or the system that I've outlined for you in how you can either just learn more keys or learn more progressions, learn different positions on the guitar neck, different voicings, whatever the case may be. Now, if you're looking for some help and a structured approach, along with backing tracks like I used today in all 12 keys and different tempos so that you have a resource that you can practice along with, feel free to check out the link in the description. That'll take you to a program that we've got where we basically teach all of these things, and every week we add to that. We give you different drills to practice so you can work on that muscle memory. You get the PDFs like you've seen today. We can see the note names, the intervals. You get the backing tracks that you can jam along with more lessons on the different techniques that you can use, the embellishments, and then also how to take this information and just going full circle back to where we started to play songs. Yes, there's some cool things that you can learn on the guitar, but if that's not going to help you fulfill your role and function as a worship guitarist on a Sunday, then that's might be fun to do. But if you're short on time, you probably want to learn the kind of things that will give you total command over the fretboard, where you have that muscle memory dialed in. You can play freely up and down the neck. And then when it comes to songs, you've got a wide variety of choices as it relates to voicings, airs on the guitar neck, techniques, whatever the case may be, so that you can play skillfully on your instrument and that you don't have to play with any fear or anxiety of making mistakes, because you've practiced in a systematic way and developed your muscle memory. So if you want to check out anything more around that and you want some additional help, go ahead and check out the link in the description, and then let us know what you think of this format, where this is literally, I think we've been going for close to an hour now. No fluff, just into the teaching, giving you specific systematic ways in which you can grow your playing as a guitarist. Let us know if you enjoy this format, and if you want us to keep doing more of these longer deep dive videos. Of course, the stuff here is available on YouTube free of charge, and we want to make sure that we don't just add to the noise of the internet and everything out there. We want to go ahead and create value for you that's going to help you to become a skilled worship guitarist, which is why we are called Worship Guitar Skills, so you can learn to become a skilled guitar player for the purpose of worship. All right, guys. Really had fun presenting all of this to you today. Hope you have a great rest of your day. Leave us a comment. Check out the program in the description if you want to learn more. And we'll see you guys on the next one. Take it easy.